Welcome to Boldly, the podcast from Shift Ed. Shift Ed is a triad-based nonprofit on a mission to boldly accelerate student potential from classroom to career. Each week, you'll hear about our work through the eyes of our team members, community partners, and the scholars who participate in our programs. I'm your host, Holly West Pauley, the Director of Communications and Marketing for Shift Ed. Today, I'm joined by President and CEO Wendy Poteat and Chief Impact Officer Amanda Rosemann to share about our education continuum of programs and services. Our goal is to expose students to a variety of diverse educational and workforce pathways so they can reach their full potential. Wendy and Amanda, can you start by just telling listeners a little bit about yourself?
Good morning, everybody. So Wendy Poteat, of course, President and CEO. I came to Shift Ed 4 years ago when it was actually another organization. I was tasked with getting the organization in a space that offers supports to students. I initiated a vision to create an organization focused on equity and systemic change that would intentionally address populations of people that get lost in the averages or left in the margins. So my job was to first kind of initiate this crisis communications about the perceptions of the previous organization and regain the trust of the stakeholders in the community. We literally went on an apology tour once Amanda came on board about a month after I got here. I said to my board, I had to take the time to put, an exceptional team into place and build a sellable product. So my job today, 1 year into a full 5-year strategic planning process and a complete organizational rebrand, is to continue to stick to the plan and the vision that we initiated 4 years ago.
Thanks for having me, Holly, and thanks, Wendy, for introducing yourself. As you mentioned, I'm Amanda Rosemann, and I'm the Chief Impact Officer with Shift Ed, which is a fancy way of saying I oversee all of our programming that Wendy mentioned that spans across from classroom to career for our organization, as well as initiating and stewarding our community partnerships that we need to serve as many students as we do. I started with the organization about a month after Wendy came on board, and really my role then was to create all the services you now know exist, which has been an arduous and rewarding task, both in and of itself.
Awesome. Well, you talked a little bit about the education continuum, which is sort of what we use to describe all of our programs from elementary school through the workforce. So how did the idea of building this continuum come to be?
I think Amanda will agree with me. To be perfectly honest, most of the things that I ideate, it comes to me while I'm in the shower or literally while I'm asleep. I keep a notebook on my nightstand to write things down if it wakes me up from my sleep. I thought of the continuum of care is not really, so mind-blowing. It really is just a holistic way to think about how to bring children and families more access and opportunities for social mobility as an inclusive future-forward strategy.
So the programs start in elementary school, and the focus is on literacy and academics. So Amanda, why is that the building block of the whole continuum?
Great question. Anytime you hear me or Wendy speak about our elementary school support services, you're going to hear us mention the shift that occurs with students starting in 3rd grade. At that time, students transition from learning how to read to needing to read to learn. Therefore, if students are behind in reading and literacy in the 3rd grade, they're now far more likely to fall behind in learning in general. Math, social studies, science, extracurriculars, band, anything they do, all require students to be fluent in literacy to learn past the 3rd grade. So because of this, we facilitate our HELPS program for students in grades 2 through 5. This program is a remediation program that stands for Helping Early Literacy with Practice Strategies, and is a program that strengthened last year's participants' literacy scores over 86% from beginning of year to end of year, which means these students are more likely to succeed in all areas of their academics, not just literacy.
Awesome. Do you want to talk about community virtual tutoring at all?
Yeah, sure. So in 2020, in response to the pandemic, We had the opportunity to launch our virtual community tutoring platform that matched community volunteers with students in grades K through 5 to provide free 2 hours a week of tutoring that could either be homework support, academic support across all subject areas, or a specialized focused area like literacy or mathematics. We have made the decision this year to transition that out of our Rolodex of programs that we provide because the Guilford County Schools District has had the opportunity to pick that up and run with it themselves. And so that's no longer a program that we need to facilitate, and we're so excited to hand that torch over to Guilford County Schools.
So obviously we work really closely hand in hand with them. What is that relationship like?
It is a relationship that we have fostered over the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years.
Sure.
That is evolving and growing every single day. Right now, all of the students we serve are in Guilford County Schools. They are our top partner. They are our number one partner. We work hand in hand with their leadership all the way down to their individual teachers and curriculum facilitators in the schools that we serve. So Dr. Oakley actually sits on our board and has a seat on our board, as well as their Chief Support Services Officer. She is my biggest advocate on my Support Services Committee and really leads the direction of our support services. You'll hear Wendy and myself speak around not being prescriptive of what a district needs from us, but and more working in tandem with them and filling in the gaps that they cannot provide for their students.
Also, with that partnership, just thinking back 4 years ago and how we really couldn't get the district to answer an email from us because the relationship was so fractured, you'll oftentimes hear us say partnerships move at the speed of trust. I think we've gotten to the place where we trust them and they actually trust us now too. I'm going to have to say, though, like when we started, we were only serving maybe 1,000 kids a year, maybe. And in the course of 4 years, we're almost at 30,000 students a year. So it says something for the impact and the work that we're doing and what Amanda and her team is bringing to the table.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of partnerships, a really cool one that we just unveiled is the Mobile Innovation Lab. So that's part of our middle school programming where we start really focusing on career exploration. So if you haven't seen it yet, the Mobile Innovation Lab is a Thomas-built bus that takes STEAM learning to students at middle schools and community organizations across the county. So tell us a little bit about the impetus behind the Mobile Innovation Lab and sort of the partnerships we've been able to build as part of that.
Absolutely. I'm happy to talk about the Mobile Innovation Lab. It's kind of my baby. The initial thought of the Mobile Innovation Lab came during a tour of the Forge Greensboros, who is actually our partner now in that Mobile Innovation Lab. When we were there, it was such a cool trip, and I questioned like how many children were able to get to the Forge to experience what I was seeing in that visit. And the answer was like, we can't get students here. It's really hard to schedule the field trips. And, the answer that it illuminated a barrier that existed with transportation and access. So my thought was, how do we get these great things to the kids? And of course, let's get them there. So at that time, Kaylee Edgerly was actually running Thomas-built buses. And I'm sure he and his assistant will tell you that I ran him down. Like I hunted him down to get him to talk to us. But eventually, Thomas-built buses actually donated the chassis and then connected us to an organization called Carolina Thomas, who led the project to upfit the bus. And it took way longer because when we started the project, everything that was supply chain related came to a screeching halt right when we started because a global pandemic broke out, right? It was a part of our daily lives and just trying to figure out how are we going to get this bus moving. And we had a great plan, but it's like Mike Tyson once said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? So we got up, we kept fighting. We were fighting for this bus, and the Forge in that time was working with Guilford County Schools educators to develop the curriculum for that program. And Jackie Davis, who runs a community program in High Point called D Up, allowed us to pilot the program before the bus was even ready to make sure that the curriculum was right. So we've been doing that. And like you said, we just had the ribbon cutting for it maybe a month or so ago. And it's rolling all over Guilford County. We have community events. We're working with D Up again this summer to work out any kinks that we have. And then this fall, we'll roll the bus out to Guilford County middle schools, working with the district to identify 8 middle schools that it will be in the, in 2 semesters of the school year.
Very cool. The Mobile Innovation Lab is sort of our newest effort in career exposure, but it's certainly not the only thing we do with middle schoolers. So, Amanda, what are sort of the other ways we expose students to careers?
Absolutely. So middle school is one of my favorite areas of impact. I've spent a lot of my career working in the middle school space, and I really am just always excited about what you can do for students in middle school and how you can illuminate their opportunities to them at an earlier age than high school when they're still a little what I call squishy or malleable. I'm not allowed to have favorites, just as children. But if I did, one of my favorite support services we provide would be the Youth Science Career Assessment. We provide this assessment to all 7th and 10th graders in the entire district. In 7th grade, they take the student version, and then in 10th grade, they get the opportunity to take the adult version. This is a career aptitude assessment, which actually measures and displays each student's natural aptitude for a career and not just their interest, meaning that instead of students seeing solely the careers they're interested in, they're also exposed to the careers that they are naturally skilled and talented in. The big issue around career interest assessments these days is students can only be interested in the careers they've been actually exposed to thus far in their life, which further exacerbates the achievement gap for low-income students. The Youth Science Aptitude Assessment actually levels the playing field by exposing students to careers they may not even know exist or know that they have a talent for. This year, we're taking it one step further, and we're launching Your Path, which is a virtual career expo, which will utilize students' youth science strengths to actually match them with local industries and companies, beginning the exposure earlier in their educational journey, which we think will allow even more access to family-sustaining wage careers.
Awesome. And hopefully we will have an episode on Your Path later this season, so stay tuned. So if a student has participated in our programming, starting since elementary school, they'll probably start to have a pretty good idea what they want their future to look like by the time they reach 9th grade and go into those high school years. So that is where the real preparation and planning starts to happen, right?
Absolutely. If we do the work on the front end to level the playing field for all students, high school programming should really just be centered around preparing students for whatever their post-secondary journey may look like, whether that's a 4-year university, a 2-year college, certificate attainment, going into the military, or going directly into a career field. Our high school programs do exactly that. We facilitate a college planning series, which is inclusive of helping students understand the right match and fit for their personal goals, whether that's a private college, a public university, a community college, etc. It also just encompasses educating students and families around different college access techniques, such as financial aid options available to them, providing other resources around transitioning to college campuses. And then additionally, we do a free SAT and ACT prep class twice a year for any student who's interested, as well as a free one-on-one post-secondary consultation where students and families can meet with our team and discuss goals on a more personal level. For students who may be interested in going directly into a career or obtaining a certification career option, we launched a new partnership with Cisco called the Summer Experience in Tech, where we're providing an opportunity for students to obtain 3 certifications in the field of tech or cybersecurity over the summer semester. Students who complete this program then receive a voucher paid for by us, Shift Ed, to sit for their certification exam, making them the top candidates for innovative, family-sustaining wage careers in the tech industry. And lastly, in our college access portfolio, we launched the SEO Scholars Program this year, but I'll let Wendy share a little more about that.
Yeah, so in a couple weeks, we're going to have a whole episode dedicated to SEO because it's a really cool program, but we do want to give folks a little bit of a preview. So if you haven't heard of it somehow, this is a program that has seen really incredible results in New York and San Francisco over decades, and we are the first to pilot it in sort of this county-wide hybrid format. So, Wendy, will you share a little bit about the program and why you wanted to bring it to Guilford?
Sure. SEO is exciting. That episode on SEO is going to be fantastic. So we really didn't bring SEO here. We were tasked by our new board co-chair, Bobby Long, to do some research on the program to see if it would be something that would be beneficial to students in Guilford County. And this happened after we were having a meeting with him about, different things. And we came back and we did our research and got back to Bobby, and the answer was absolutely yes. The program boasts a 100% college acceptance rate. It has a 90% college graduation rate into the top colleges in the country. It was also completely aligned with our mission to boldly accelerate student potential and one of our values of putting equity to action. The program is intense. And you'll learn about that in that episode, but it is so beneficial to these students. And the students that it's geared towards are first-generation college students who would historically not attend four-year college or even really dream about being able to attend a four-year college. So we are now able to implement that program to fidelity, to give that opportunity to 50-student cohort year over year to have the opportunity to be part of that SEO community that exists right now.
Awesome. And again, I don't want to scoop the next episode, but definitely stay tuned for that. So once we've prepared students for their next steps, the final step in our continuum is post-secondary education. And as Amanda mentioned, we are big believers you don't have to attend a four-year college to be successful. But for students who do pursue higher education, we are here to help. So as you probably have seen, we have a scholarship program through which we disperse hundreds of thousands of dollars every year to students attending public North Carolina colleges and our private college partners. So Amanda, will you share a little bit more about the scholarship model?
Absolutely. Our scholarship model is one of our better known support services that we offer. We've been providing scholarships to students going on our 6th year now. But what the audience may not know is that we spent the last 2 years working behind the scenes to overhaul our outdated model to better serve our students and our community. Our new model went into effect on July 1st of this year and now distributes 80% of our dollars to families with incomes of $75,000 and below, with an income cap going up as high as $150,000 a year for an annual family income. We're always working to fundraise more resources to increase that income threshold, but the unique thing about our scholarship model and what actually drew me to the interest of coming to this organization is that our scholarship model isn't just for four-year students. Students attending a 2-year university, community college, or going to get a certificate attainment also can qualify for our scholarship model as long as they are enrolled full-time, meaning 12 credit hours or more per semester.
That is really cool, and it does differentiate this scholarship from a lot of the ones that you'll see out there. So if you are a senior or you are already in college and graduated from Guilford County Schools, our scholarship application for next year, 2024-25, will open on December the 1st. Before we wrap up, we already talked a little bit about the partnership with Guilford County Schools, but we definitely have many, many partners that play vital roles in helping us reach students. So are there other partnerships that you guys would like to shout out?
Gosh, I think one of the things that drives our team in this work every day is the partners that are in this fight with us. We talked about the school district. There are so many other nonprofits that we work with in the space. And I'll just talk about just a few because we're all in this work. Everybody is looking at how can we change the wealth gap? How can we increase social mobility? How can we break down barriers that create generational poverty? We work every day knowing that those paths to mobility are very different and that it has something to do with race, but it also has a lot to do with place, right? Which is why many of our fantastic partners are working to eliminate the predictability that race and zip codes have on mobility. So if you think about Ready Ready, right? Ready Ready starts this work at the very beginning of this education continuum that we talk about in that prenatal to age 8 space. And we work with this partner to be very intentional about the transitions of their work into the work that we start to do in kindergarten to career. And those transition points are very important in our work with Ready Ready. You know, Guilford Education Alliance also plays a huge role in the advocacy space because as organizations pilot work and great programs, there has to be an entity that pushes to convert those great pilots into policy, right? There has to be somebody out there questioning and working to change how the public dollar is being spent. If we think about funding and how nonprofits and our partners are all out here trying to figure out how do we become sustainable, one thing that we all know that policy change initiates the government to supply public funding, and that source of income has the ability to transform a community, and it has to be pushed at all levels for us to do that. So our partners are great to us, and I'll repeat again, those partnerships always move at the speed of trust. So the ones that we have great partnerships with are ones that we built good relationships with.
All right. Well, that's it for episode 1. I want to thank Amanda and Wendy for being here today to give an overview of our programs. And like we've said, if you're interested in what you've heard about today, make sure to subscribe to the podcast to hear more directly from our staff members, our community partners, and some of the students that we work with. You can also follow us on social media at ShiftEd Scholars and sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date on everything we're doing. You can find that link on our homepage, shift-ed.org. That's shift-ed.org. Have a great day.